Welcome to another episode of Master Plan. I'm your host, Monica Sekhmet Grant, and today we have a special interview with Sacred Walker. She's the founder of Kuumba Health, LLC. How you doing, Sacred?
I'm well. Thank you for
having me,
Monica.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Yes,
it's a pleasure.
Pleasure is mine.
Yeah, so tell the audience about yourself.
Well, my name is Sacred Walker. I'm the founding president and CEO of Kuumba Health, LLC, and I'm in the business of having people create spaces within themselves and within their environments where they feel comfortable, relaxed, and when they get to the place where they're just pushing through and burning out and overwhelmed with life, that they remember how to transform that pain into power.
Wow.
So what I call it is I'm a pain to power expert, all right? And I'm really about how do you feel relaxed at the end of a long day?
Wow.
How do you show up in your relationships in a way that feel healthy? And how do you do business in a way that leaves you feeling good and authentically powerful?
Right.
And we're in the business of that.
Right. So when we first met, we met through Nikita. So shout out to Nikita, Cupcakes and Coaching. We spoke about I'm an entrepreneur, and so I want to create a space that is conducive for entrepreneurs to be successful. But, in certain communities and low-income communities and communities of color, we deal with a lot of stress. We deal with a lot of pain.
Yes.
And so before I can have the conversation of we need to be entrepreneurs and we need to develop our community on the outside, there's a lot of things that have to go on the inside for us to heal. And so that's why I think that, your interview is so important, because you offer a lot of help and assistance for people to use their pain to bring about power. So can you tell me about just like some of the people that you work with and some of the things that you've seen?
Absolutely. And I wanna honor that. For some, hearing the word pain, they might say, you know what, that's not me. I'm good. I'm all is well. I feel an ache in my stomach when I'm overwhelmed. I keep it moving. I miss lunch, but I gotta do what I have to do. Or, you know what, things are full. I worked 14 hours today, but I'm running my business. Let's do this.
I'm strong. I'm Superwoman.
Superman.
Right.
And trust and believe, I was #1 Superwoman for a long time until it ended up turning me into something that was very overwhelmed, and I became sick. And after that, after years of studying and realizing that there's so many people out there that I wasn't the only one, and doing research on it, I realized 90% of the reasons why we end up becoming sick are based on stress. Right? Stress can be arranged. Think about this morning, right? This morning you woke up, you got to exhale, ease into the day. Say if you started your day out and it looked different. You were running a team of people and someone showed up at the office, right? You needed a minute just to slow down to process your thoughts, but you kept it moving, right? You pushed it down. Then you got a call from your daughter. Something got kicked up. Something that I realized again and again was that the point that people pick up the phone and call Kuumba Health is when they say, you know what? Today is the day when I'm ready to make that shift.
Right.
When I no longer want to move from this place of allowing stress to direct my life, and I want to really align things. So who are the people that really reach out to us? Some of the impacts that we've had. I have had clients currently who have come to us for everything from individuals to companies. Individuals who've come to us and said, you know what, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I just lost my relationship, and I am so tired of meeting the same person in a different body again and again. And now they are going from misspending their funds and as well ending up in poor relationships to now living a life that's phenomenal, meeting the person that's going to honor the fullness of who they are, communicating their emotions in a clear way, and also in the process of buying a home, right?
I know that's right.
And that's because they took the time to slow down long enough to feel, to be human, right? So we're really about reconnecting you to your humanity. We do the same thing with organizations. I had an organizational lead come to me and say, there's a breakdown in our team, and I noticed that there's some ways that people are picking at each other. It's not that people want to be harmful. You've had those times where, maybe you said something and it came across the wrong way, and on top of it, your shoulders feel stiff, you're at the computer all day, fingers tight. It's not what we call in organizational wellness for you to be at the computer so long, and on top of it, feeling the pressures of the environment, especially from the top down, right? So what we do is we come in and we do a combination of saying, how do you feel well inside, right? Bringing in different tools as a holistic psychologist that I am, right? Exactly. Bringing in different tools as a holistic psychologist, partnering with other trainers, and as well looking at what's happening in the environment.
Okay.
How do we transform the team that is having a breakdown into bringing them to the other side to have a breakthrough? So we've had teams who they've never talked to each other before, communicating, building relationships, focused, noticing that their bottom line is impacted as a result of our work.
What kind of employer reaches out to you? Because that's very bold of them to say, hey, I need help. I need help with my staff. I need help. I need you to come in and help me. Because not a lot of employers, not a lot of bosses really want somebody from the outside, you know, poking around. So what kind of employer does that take to reach out?
So you know what? They range. They range. And I want to say to the entrepreneurs out there who left their environments, because after, you know, I've worked in vulnerable communities for over 15 years. And for those out there who have worked in environments that were high stress, they would have been the ones to call me right before they said I was about to leave.
Right.
Let's be clear that many companies lose innovative entrepreneurs, creative, forward thinking, out the box, stand alone, takes initiative. Those are the elements of a dynamic entrepreneur. As well the elements of an innovative employee.
For sure.
And oftentimes if a company doesn't take time to create an environment that nurtures that, that beautiful, sweet, rich, playful, expansive energy, you lose good people. So right before you're about to lose that good person who has worked hard often in your company and has committed oftentimes a long time to that company, I get a call saying, you know what? I am tired of the way that my boss speaks down to me. Or I am tired of the fact that I leave home and I just pass out because I'm tired. And on the other side can say, you know what? Because you showed up at our workplace, I was able to foster my entrepreneurial gifts in this agency.
Without having to leave.
And there's some powerful people like myself who've said, you know what? Beautiful. I am ready to launch out on my own and do this because I have the right to thrive. And that's beautiful too. But what we do is, how do we save companies money by not losing good people and supporting innovation within?
Absolutely. Because sometimes you might be so just frustrated that you leave at the wrong time. You don't have all your ducks in a row, and then you leave on bad terms, so now you can't have that relationship with the company that you could have partnered with. You know, and so if there was that relationship, it's like, all right, so now I'll go do my business and you could be my first client. You know, and so that is a more, you know, as a young boss, I would like to, you know, promote that more than just, hey, you're tired of your job, go start your business. Because that's not realistic. Business is hard. Being an entrepreneur is very hard, it's very risky. And so if you're leaving on a bad note, you know, you got to clean up a lot. You got to clean up too much. And so I believe, you know, putting your best foot forward. And so if you're coming in actually helping people, not just in the momentary situation, but in the long term, because now I know how to have better relationships or a stressless environment, you know, at home with my family, with my boyfriend, my girlfriend. So you're not just helping at work, but you're helping, you know, holistically. And so that's awesome.
Absolutely. And I want to hone in on something you just said about the finances, because that's really key. And I'm glad you brought it up about the ways that you, as an entrepreneur, are really saying that this organization that I'm leaving might become my next client. One of the biggest gifts that I did before I left my full-time position to step into and launch Kuumba Health full-time, because I was running Kuumba Health for about 10 years, and then I launched it, was that I was able to say, what are the tools that I have to transform my stress? Because the environment is hard, and for those out there who are full-time, running their business part-time, they know that you're juggling many hats, right? And so in that, it's going to create stress already on top of the demands of the job, right? So in doing that, one of the gifts that I learned, that I teach others, is the yes and the no factor. Because in the process, you have to become really clear about, how do I say no in a way that honors me? How do I say no to things that are not on my plate? How do I say no to someone asking me something, and because I want to be kind, I'm saying yes all the time? Because being a yes person will get you burnt out.
It will, very quickly.
And so one of the gifts that I learned was, how do you say no so that you can turn around and say yes confidently. And in doing so, your finances will show very clearly, because I was able to say, you know what? I'm going to close this out. This is very overwhelming. But then I was able to turn back around and have a meeting with the same CEO to say, how can you potentially become a client, because I did it correctly.
Correct.
And a way that if I allowed stress to direct me, then I would have flipped out and said the wrong thing, done the wrong thing, and not made sure that my finances were not in alignment first to make sure that I had all my ducks in the row so that my business could stand on fertile ground, because you deserve that.
Absolutely.
Right? So we don't realize how much stress informs our decisions and our finances quite often.
Right, right. How does stress and trauma affect the way that we feel about money and spend money? Because just in the entrepreneurial world, you have to really understand the resources that you have available. Your human capital, your physical capital, like how much money you actually have, and but like how does like trauma, or if you grew up in a household where low self-esteem was just the norm. Because a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you're the crazy one of the family. You're the one that's like, no, I can do it. No, you can't. No, I can do it. Who says I can do it? And so you're fighting against, family members or friends that might not believe in themselves. So how does that trauma as a child, or even just as a teenager, how does that impact the way we look at business and finance?
Absolutely, absolutely. So first, I want to thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
That when you are an entrepreneur, you tend to be the one who was seen as the crazy one in the family, right? The one that stood out. I remember when I was younger, I would be the one that would gather all of my animals and one by one love on them, because from then I was creating inclusive spaces. You know what I'm saying? But I was the one that people were like, is she talking to her teddy bear? Is she really? But guess what? That was my gift.
Right.
That was my gift, was to create a space that I felt cared for, and they were too, because maybe the environment that I was in wasn't safe.
That's awesome.
So I had to create my own safety. Right? So never underestimate how children and adults make that space. So back to your point, the gift of that, right? The gift of the ways that we can in that spaciousness really thrive is that voice that says, stand up, be that truth teller. Even in the face of someone telling you you're crazy, you will be able to truth tell in your business role. You'll be able to speak to, you know what, maybe there's a niche market that I haven't tapped into yet.
Okay.
Because no one else has, and I'm able to speak truth into that niche market.
Right.
That's the power of innovation that you've had in you, and what many people call sensitive entrepreneurs, right? That's that spaciousness of saying, it's okay if you have soft emotions, if you feel things deeply. That's an intuitive voice that can guide you along the way if you remind yourself that it's not bad.
Right.
Now, here's the trick. It's about security.
For sure.
Money, relationships, investments, it's all about feeling secure, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm in the business of looking at, how do you feel secure in yourself? How do you feel secure in your environment? Now, here's the trick about that. If you've your whole life been told that being a truth teller is bad, if you've been told that you are crazy, right? You stand out, you're doing too much. Right? Children are meant to be heard, not seen, not seen, not seen or heard half the time. If you've been told that, and you have that voice within, and you don't have some support to be a mirror to you to say you are phenomenal, when it kicks up, the doubt will oftentimes trip you up more than the failure.
That's right.
Because failure is not going to trip you up. Failure means you tried.
Yeah, you learned.
Right?
You
learned.
From it.
I stepped out and I said, let's launch this. Members of the team, I led a retreat at Omega. Omega Institute is a spiritual retreat center.
Yeah, I know Omega.
Right? They were able to take a leap, and even in moments where it might have felt like failure, they took leaps. Right? It's the doubt, the voice within this is why I bring in arts and expression, because it's the voice within that says, a character inside yourself that says, what are you doing starting that business? What are you doing leaving that secure job? Are you crazy leaving benefits? That voice within that is telling you, you are tapping into something phenomenal, right? Now, if we don't undo that, it's not just about affecting our finances. our relationships are going to be affected too.
Yes.
Because what's going to happen? I'm launching my business. I remember once I came home after a long day. I just finished raising our first capital campaign. It was phenomenal. I was so excited. 129 lenders in, a couple of hours. It hit me, wow, this is happening.
Right.
And I immediately went into that voice that I had to remind myself, wait a minute, you've come past this point of, hold on, do I deserve this? Is this okay? Right? Because that's the message that I had been taught. And without even realizing it, I immediately I had to pull myself back, almost said the wrong thing to my partner. And it's that same voice of security.
Okay.
Because it's once again, where do we find security?
Right.
If finances need to align, and if relationships, how we speak, need to align because we feel secure in those two areas. And oftentimes, especially as entrepreneurs, creatives,
yes,
those who've been told that we're innovative, those who've been told that we're doing too much at the same time, right? We have to constantly find ways to what I call affirm thyself.
Right.
And have a mirror, someone who's walking with you on that journey to remember that you're not crazy.
Right.
That you telling the truth is the power.
Absolutely.
The environment was crazy.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm in the business of, looking at how to not make your environment shift back.
Right.
Because it should no longer be crazy for you to feel safe.
Right.
And that's the power that you're speaking to that I appreciate you bringing up.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. One thing I've learned through my journey is that not everybody knows how to support you. Not everyone was taught how to support. We didn't grow up in families that this is how you support. You like on Facebook. you call them and congratulate them. We weren't taught that. And so sometimes it might make another person feel inferior as you're, aspiring for bigger things and you're moving up into different levels, into different experiences. And what I always have to remind myself is that the people that you want to support might not know how to support you. So let me make sure that I, go out of my way to support them as they have, different things coming up. And there's something I'm learning now. Just go out of your way, Monica. Even if it's just a like or a share, or I send you a text, and just making sure that I give that out, because I am the leader. We are the leaders. The crazy ones are the leaders of the next generation. And so I try not to forget that, because they're looking to me on what's the best way to support an upcoming artist, an upcoming business person, and so those are things that, going through my mind, why isn't this person supporting me? Well, maybe I got to show them. Maybe I have to show them. And then that's also how I think, maybe this person will become a future business partner 10 years later. Maybe it'll take a decade for that type of culture to really happen amongst, people of color, black people, black community. And we need that. But if I have to, go through those nights where it's like, why aren't people supporting me as much as I thought I was? Or why am I focusing on the people that aren't supporting me versus the people that are supporting me? The people that are calling up and saying, hey, Monica, I'm proud of you. And so that conversation goes on a lot. And so I want to be a part of the plan to fix that, let's stop complaining about who's not supporting. Let's create a new model of showing support and showing love. And because that's when we talk about community development and entrepreneurship, for me, group economics is learning how to not only just make money together, but let's build sustainable communities together. And it has to start with the relationship. It has to start with your heart and your feelings, and turn that pain into power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. Well said. And I love the fact that you are so committed and clear about looking at how can I receive support, because that supportive network is going to be so key. It's to the principle of Ubuntu, like I am because you are. There's that principle of looking at how do the ways that I grow, that's exactly what you're speaking to, how do the ways that I grow completely uplift the ways that you grow, and vice versa. Right. I mean, that's the gift of the show, and that's the gift of Kuumba Health, and that's the way that there are intersections, because there is this reminder of that, and which is going to be in my next book, so please do look out.
Absolutely.
Because something that I had to do the other day, really, I take a lot of time, I would say, at my prayer area and taking some time to be still, and one of the things that I had to do was sit out and write down what are the 7 core principles that are important in the people that I seek out to support me. Because I think that what you're speaking to, and I want to build on, are those kinds of principles. And one of the biggest gifts that I have given to myself and others as entrepreneurs is the gift of respecting your sensitivity. And so for a long time, many people that I served came in saying, why do I keep doing this? Why did I depend on this person? How could they? And it wasn't anything wrong with them or the person. It was that they didn't respect the fact that maybe their their ability to hold, their ability to support was deeper than the other person's. And so I, in the old, time church, if you will, would say, talk about people being equally yoked. I think that emotional maturity, being equally yoked in emotional maturity does make a difference.
It does.
And coming in and saying, okay, what are the ways in these 7 principles I wrote out? One of them was looking at the ways that does this person value that I have a beautiful heart? That seems basic, but it's not.
Right.
And do I value
I've
that
never
I have a
asked
beautiful
that
heart?
question.
But it's so, you would think that it's like, but one of the gifts of entrepreneurship, some people, don't get me wrong, are very competitive, and that is okay. It's competition is the name of the game. That doesn't take away from the fact that there's something inside of you that pulled you to say, there's something more that's calling my purpose.
Right.
Whatever name you give to that thing, that being, that essence, is that thing that taps into that sensitive part of you.
Right.
That thing, that being, that energy that taps into that part of you needs to be valued and respected.
Absolutely.
So if that's there, then why invite in an energy that doesn't value your heart? It sounds lofty, but it can actually be really basic. Like, wait a minute, let me pause and see, how does this person value my heart, my time, my words? Like, how do they? And just giving time to let the answer come versus, oh my gosh, this is awesome, we're both entrepreneurs, let's go,
Right. Moving too fast.
Of course, it's like dating, and that makes sense because when we have, for those of us who have been innovative and powerful and truth tellers, but also those who are innovative are also the ones who sometimes have experiences of loneliness. It happens.
Yes,
so it's like, oh my gosh, finally someone who gets me. Make sure that they get the essence of you.
Right.
Right? And that's all it is. And sometimes it takes time to understand what the essence of you is.
And not who they want you to be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And sometimes, we just have to remember that we're not in it alone. And this is why I think spaces like this are so important.
Right.
To just remember that if you're still figuring out what the essence of you is, that's okay.
How do you know how to say no? Like you see the signs. Monica, this is not right. It doesn't feel right, But how do you just know, like, when to say no? Like, how do you build up that confidence to be able to say, I'm going to just trust that the right thing is coming?
Absolutely. So I'm going to say that, a lot of the clients that we have, I've met with for anywhere from, a couple of sessions to, almost 2 years. So that can sometimes take time. And I'm not going to act as though the investment in yourself isn't worth, or your team isn't worth that. Your campus isn't worth that. So it really just depends on how deep and old that is.
Okay.
And as someone who believes in ancestors, I believe that that voice has been around for a long time, telling you that you're not enough. Right? So you're overcoming some generational stuff here. All right? So give yourself some credit when you're like, oh, how come I haven't gotten over this yet? Well, it's generational. It's not just starting today.
That's real.
Right? So let's speak on that for a moment.
That's right.
And I do have a tool that I give depending on the situation. So in some situations, I encourage people to say honest, kind, true. And honest, kind, true means, you know what? I realize that this thing is really bothering me. I'm listening to my body wisdom. I've met with Sacred. We've had a session. We created affirmations. I moved through that old stuff that's been hampering me down, or, whatever it is. And I realize, okay, that voice is not me. It's the old me. Okay, so I've gotten clear. So it takes some time to get there.
Okay.
And then once you're at that place and you're like, okay, honest, kind, true. It's not unkind to be clear about your boundaries, right? Especially if you've had your boundaries pushed
for
a long time, right? So honest, kind, true. Honest. Honestly speaking, I am so glad that you came to me to seek out this service. And kind, I really appreciate you having picked up the phone. It is so wonderful to be connected to you. True, but bottom line is that this is my price, and I'm not going to be able to be flexible on that, but please do circle back should you need the service again. Honest, kind, true, because you have to respect your bottom line.
I'm going to replay that.
honest, kind, true. It's taken me a long time, but it is worth it. If you didn't
take nothing else from this interview.
Honest, kind, true. But remember what I said first. Go into your closet, right, with yourself, with someone else, with support, with Kuumba Health, whatever makes you feel safest, and first face the part of you that led you to believe that honest, kind, true wasn't okay.
Right.
Once you hamper that down, you can say, okay, wait a minute. I love myself enough to know that I can be honest. And I respect the fact that I don't want to do this.
That's right.
Cool.
That's right.
I have love and respect over here. Once you have love and respect on your shoulders.
Honest, kind,
honest,
true.
Honest, kind, true. You got it.
Honest, kind, true.
Honest, kind, true. But make
That's
sure you
awesome.
have love on one shoulder and respect on the other.
Right. Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, no problem. And I know those who are watching are going, oh my gosh, I said yes to that thing and I shouldn't have. Call back and say honest, kind, true. Write it out if you need to. Take your time, take a day, 24 hours, whatever you need. Honest, kind, true. Love on one shoulder, respect on the other.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm glad we got
to that. No problem. Trust me. I have one of my clients who called me and was like, it worked and I feel amazing.
You know what? That was an unexpected nugget.
No problem.
Take it.
I have plenty of those. No problem.
I'm not done with you yet. Now, you spoke on generational pain and trauma.
Yes.
We're in a state in America where it's just chaotic, you know, and I was speaking with someone else just about what violence is, and her definitions of violence is like, violence is anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. You know, it doesn't have to look like anything physical, but it's anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. So we've been dealing with violence for a long time. We're in a violent atmosphere in this country. How does that impact your relationships, your business? How does seeing negativity and violence on the TV, how does that impact? How are we being affected and we don't even know of?
Absolutely. So there were countless studies that have come out, countless studies coming out of Egypt, coming out of Russia. Harvard Business has done studies, all of which show that exposure to violence impacts not only our stress level, impacts not only our blood pressure, but also can literally transform our DNA. It has proven that. And the counter to that is that the ability for folks to be exposed to things like sound healing, arts, theater, music, dance, those things can shift not only what's happened today, but things that we have been compounded within our DNA for a long time.
Right.
And our amygdala in the back of our brain, that's right here. Okay, everyone put your hand right here.
Right here.
Please massage it. Give it at least once a week a little rub. Because that's the place that holds trauma.
Really?
That's the place where our flight, fight, or freeze comes from. That place of, oh no, she did. Let her say that to me one more time. Or that place of, I can't believe what I just saw go down in Charlottesville, Virginia, on the University of Virginia's campus, right? That's that place. That place of freeze, feeling helpless, that comes from that same place. Just taking time to massage it because it's, oh my gosh, I feel like this is so big, I don't know how to handle it. Or that place of flight. I know many entrepreneurs who are now based in other countries because they said, you know what? 2017 hit and I no longer want to deal with this. And that is fight, flight, or freeze are responses that come from that part of the brain that are responding from a place of self-protection, from a place of self-care. You have to respect it, but if it directs your life, and it takes over and it affects what we talked about before, the relationships and the financial decisions, then that's when it becomes problematic. And I want to name, before moving forward, that violence is not the answer, right?
Absolutely.
What happens on the streets when hate is turned into violence, you have the right to your opinion. But we at Kuumba Health do not condone violence. And having worked with many vulnerable populations, we recognize that the environment that preaches and speaks on and from a place of hate impacts people's bodies, mind, and being's health, right? Bottom line, it's going to impact you because of the fact that that is something that's been happening for many generations. And it kicks up some old stuff. Okay? So we don't condone violence, and we respect that people have the right to your opinion. However, it's not okay for you to allow that to impact other people's safety and well-being.
Absolutely.
So yes, absolutely. And let's take it a little bit further, okay? And if for some reason at some point I say a word or a phrase that you're like, ooh, sacred, please make sure that you flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah.
I will pause. Okay, so one of my areas that really led me to looking at the trauma of stress and the way that it impacts the body was actually looking at the trauma of both the ways that people of African descent have been impacted by this country and the way that all people as a result are drinking from that same water, right? And so when someone who has felt disempowered, who has had a history of being told that they have more rights than others, that is as well something that they are moving from a stress-related way. And they're not in tune with the love. They're not in tune with self-love. Because if I love myself, I don't need to repress you. They're not moving from respect, because if I respect myself, I don't need to disrespect someone else.
That's right.
And so when we have environments that foster safety, and to your friend's point, being comfortable, what Dr. Joy DeGruy-Leary calls what is created is post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? And so whether or not you believe that what has happened yesterday, what some call Sankofa, flying backwards to fly forward, what has happened yesterday impacts you today. Even if you're looking at it today, what happened on the news isn't okay. We have to recognize that the symbol of what that meant, the Confederate flag and the layers of that, impacts you just by looking at it. Impacts your family, impacts your bottom line, impacts your company. And so what I'm really committed to is looking at the ways that we at Kuumba Health, we've launched a student wellness initiative where we're really clear that campuses, just as much as the University of Virginia, we've worked with campuses, Sarah Lawrence campus. We're about to work with Georgian University. We've worked with the Graduate Center, CUNY Graduate Center, and many other universities. Really being intentional that when we say pain to power, we're both looking at stress and the ways that, oh my gosh, I've been at this computer way too long. My boss needs to give me a break.
Release.
Or I'm my own boss now. I need to give myself a break. Build that in, right? And we're also committed to the deeper level of pain to power as well. What are the ways that this environment for a long time, not just today, but for a long time has said, because you act, look, or think differently than me, that you're not welcome here. And the same way you were talking about before about that person who's a truth teller, that innovative, creative, expansive person, trust and believe. That same person is in a university right now feeling like they're the only one. And we're in the business of making sure that you no longer feel like you're the only one.
That's awesome.
Deans of students, that's a part of their role. Administrators, that's a part of their role, but sometimes they don't know how. And so we have a different approach with that. Usually we do organizational wellness, individual coaching. It's much more talking, expressive arts, but it really is about looking at using clinical skills to move you through, transformative thinking, etc. With universities, we find, and especially with students, bringing in the innovation of theater, bringing in the innovation of arts, all of a sudden you're playing a different role. You're looking at, you know what, maybe the thought that I have, the unconscious bias I have, might be impacting this moment and I don't even realize it.
Right.
Because of that, remember that what we talked about earlier?
Right
Back
right here.
that amygdala.
Amygdala.
That amygdala. That's right.
So I started getting it.
That's right, exactly. That's saying something else. That's telling us the wrong, telling us a different message.
Right.
So that's one of the campaigns we've rolled out this past year before, and now even more so. We're intentionally reaching out. So please, if those who are watching and listening have children in universities, families who are connected to organizations that they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I need to create a safe space here. And they want the expansiveness of innovation, of creativity, of bringing in something different out of the box. Definitely reach out to us, because at the end of the day, we want the environment to feel safe on the outside.
Right.
And on the inside.
Right.
Because if you don't feel safe on the outside and you don't feel safe on the inside, where do you go? Right? And so we want
break down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we are in the business of making sure people build up versus breaking down.
Right.
So absolutely, that's something that I am so proud to be a part of.
Yes.
As someone who was an innovative, creative thinker in my university who found others like myself, I find that it's imperative, especially today, to create dialogue, right?
Yes.
Versus divide.
Yes.
We have to create dialogue versus divide, because we can spend a lot of times being on this side of the fence or that side of the fence, and that fosters stress.
It does. It does.
Sticking with this is my side, because at some point you have been the person who has harmed, and you have been the person who has been harmed, right? You've been on some kind of the fence. So we do the brave work of going in and saying, you know what? It's a hard time, but somewhere deep down, you know that love and respect is on your shoulder.
Absolutely.
And you can get through this. It takes courage.
Yes.
It takes courage, but it's worth it.
Yes.
And guess what? I believe that not only do you feel it, but your ancestors are going to say thank you.
That's right. That's right.
That's my belief. It doesn't have to be yours.
Right.
It is my personal belief that your ancestors are going to say, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Finally, someone came along
Absolutely.
and was brave enough to figure out how to no longer make the environment unwelcome.
Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
us.
Yes. I'm a firm believer in the power of prayer. And so I know when prayer has come through.
Yes.
You know, I know it, I feel it. I was like,
Yes.
Grandma, that was you.
Yes.
But also, I know that my great-great-grandmother was praying for my generation. I know that my great-great-great-grandmother was praying for us. And so we have all these prayers that one day it's going to be different. One day it's going to be better. And so we still have those prayers out there that are waiting for us to say, all right, I'm going to take on that challenge.
That's right.
I'm going to be the different one. I'm going to be the difference maker. I believe that those prayers are still, they're in our DNA, you know?
Yes.
And like they're waiting for us to say, take on that challenge. Do it, Monica.
Absolutely.
Do it, Sacred.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when your grandmother is saying those prayers and they continue to resonate, or she was praying for you from that place of, I see what's happening now. I would never want this generation to experience that again. The powerful thing of moving from that fight we talked about, flight and freeze, is that you don't have to feel like you have to do it alone. If you are in the business of running a hair salon, if you are in the business of financial management, if you are in the business of, doing real estate, and you see what's happening on the news, you don't have to stay in that freeze mode and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything. Because one, and this is gonna be my other nugget, okay?
Come on, I'm ready for it.
All right, so this is my nugget, okay? Let's be clear. Your grandmother and my grandmother did not always have the intention, the beauty, the access. I will speak for my grandmother. Did not always have the access to be able to say, I love and respect myself.
Right.
And just by you waking up in the morning, right now, watching, and saying to yourself, I love me. I respect me. I started my own business, no matter what stage it's in. Just by you doing that, or even just by you picking up the phone and saying, I need help.
Yes.
I have a core circle of people, or I need support, whatever it is. By you doing that from a place of self-love and self-respect, that in and of itself is an answer to your grandmother's prayers.
Absolutely.
Because right there, for my grandmother, at least, I know for her, in her, all of her spiciness, in all of her spunk, I'm Jamaican, and all of her Jamaican spunk, right? She had very few messages that told her, based on her circumstances, that loving and respecting yourself was okay.
Right.
So just by you doing that alone,
Right.
you have shifted something
Absolutely.
in the field around you
Absolutely.
that said that you weren't valuable enough to do what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So off the bat, you are already discounting what everybody on the news is saying about you, period.
All off the bat. Yes.
Off the bat.
Yes.
Because you have love and respect on your shoulder. So when someone shows up in your face, okay, do another example. Okay? And I'm not going to say the university because I want to respect privacy.
Right,
okay,
right,
but
right.
for example, there was a hate crime at a university and I was called in to support based on it. Okay? And we were doing the role plays with the theater, and I do sociodrama, and I'm also an interfaith minister, and I brought in someone else who was a music therapist and coach, right, to do this work. And so in one of them, I saw something that was so pinpoint and clear that it felt like a clear nugget to me that I want to bring to here today about the love and respect. Okay, so say for example, someone comes up to me right now and says, Sacred, so, you know what, you really think, because this has happened, you really think that you're all that. I mean, who do you think you are? You're not being very sacred. I mean, look, what's going on there with the hair, what's going on with the skin, I don't really quite get it.
Wow.
I've all of the gamut, right?
Wow, yeah.
Boom, okay. I see, hold on 1 minute, let me clarify. Always clarify. Is this what I'm hearing you say? Clarify, because all of a sudden, the moment the power shifts, pain to power is a shift. Because this is pain to power. I'm above and below.
Okay.
All of a sudden it equalizes. Hold on, let me clarify what it is I'm hearing. Because you went in your closet and you got clear that I'm worth of love and I'm worthy of respect. So love says, hold on, let me clarify what it is that I'm hearing. Love inside, I love myself enough to know that the hair on my head is gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And the ancestry that I come from is of African descent. And I am Jamaican and powerful. Hold on.
That's right.
And the love that is the essence of who I am
That's right.
is speaking into me. And I am love medicine. Hold on 1 second. This person is telling me something. This is not my birthright. And I get clear. It happens in literally a second because you've already had your prayer closet. Excuse me. This conversation is going to have to be over because you were speaking to me in a way that does not value who I am. So let's talk again when we're on the same page. Thank you so much for your time. You know what that did? That wasn't, when I tell you, that wasn't always how I was able to speak.
Right.
But because I got clear, did you just, who do you think you, no.
Clarity is important.
Clarity is important because when someone says, who do you think you are, you will say, this is who I know who I am.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you're not at that place, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world that doesn't always foster that. And this is why we have each other. We all have our areas of core genius. That's why I pull on you. I'm not going to say that I know how to plaster the walls in my home correctly.
Right.
That is not my area of core genius.
Right.
My area of core genius is, though, to say, you know what, how do I facilitate this in a way that'll support you to remember that you are the love that you've been waiting for.
That's right.
That's all it is. So please, let's recap. Okay? Recap.
Recap.
Love and respect is on your shoulder.
Love, respect.
Okay? You go to, wait a minute. You see it in your head. You see that this is higher and lower. And you realize, I'm not below. Hold on. Can I please clarify? You asked for clarification. Is this what I'm hearing? And if it's not, go back. Love is saying, I love myself. I'm clear. And respect is saying, this is what I respect about myself.
I love myself. This is what I respect about myself.
Clear. Okay. And now I realize that that is not in alignment with this moment.
Right.
So, because remember, people say, oh, why aren't you being compassionate? One of the best gifts that I got from a Buddhist teacher of mine, she said, you have to be compassionate when you also feel like your boundaries are being respected. And so be compassionate when there is a feeling of equality. Okay? That's when be compassionate, yes.
Okay.
Turn the other cheek works if you are not feeling like you're being repressed, okay? So there's this moment, then you realize, oh my gosh, love, respect, equalizer. Hold on, thank you so much. Or love, respect is an alignment. You clarify and the person goes, oh, I apologize. That's not what I meant. All of a sudden it's equal. Now we can have building conversation, right? And that can really be between, you know, any kind of relationship. It doesn't have to be in any way dismissive. It doesn't have to be undermining. It's just clear. And trust and believe the stress in your shoulders, that knot in your stomach, that throbbing headache that you can't go to bed at night with because you are so overwhelmed. Love. Respect.
Yes. Clarification. That's it. Awesome.
Second nugget. Anything else, you have to give a call. Anything else.
That's right. Kuumba Health.
Yes, but it's so good to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Yeah. This is you giving out a lot of game.
That's what I can. Yes.
You're helping with communication to other people and oneself, and so that's so important. You know.
Yeah, and thank you to all my clients who are so beautiful, who are my teachers each day. Each day that show me each day how powerful and how brave you can be. I'm just so humbled by you, and I just wanted to give a shout out to all of you, from individuals to couples to campuses and companies. Just so humbled by you each day. I'm proud to serve.
That's awesome, Sacred. What do you have coming up that you'd like the audience to know?
Absolutely. So we have, in honor of the very conversation we just had, we are having a Love Medicine e-coaching. So
I like that.
So every 2 weeks, I have an online platform. It's a national gathering where you have an opportunity to receive accessible coaching from wherever you are, and you literally will receive an all-access code once you register, and the next topic is I Am Enough. Awesome. And that conversation will be geared toward those who at this point, for whatever reason, are moving from the place where they're overwhelming their plates, where their time management is struggling, where when someone comes to them, they don't know how to say no, and they want to move from a place of confidently saying yes.
For sure.
All of those things really do come back to that place of I am enough.
That's right.
And so we're going to be coaching for an hour of power. For that, August 28th is coming up, all right?
Yes.
So August 28th, do look out for that. And I want to make sure it's either August 26th or 28th. That very last Monday of the month is going to be coming up. So I believe it is either August 26th or 28th. So
the
pardon me.
26th is a Saturday.
So 28th is for sure.
Yes.
All right, and that's going to be a midday hour of power. So do check that out.
Yes.
And those who are able to watch this powerful show, anyone who watches, because Monica is now a friend of mine, and now you are too. We're officially homies. You can use the code VIP. And so using the code VIP will allow you additional complimentary perks on us and early access to some of our retreats.
You know, your girls get the hookups.
You know, trying to make sure that this time can be as least stressful as possible.
Absolutely.
And so then that's one way to be accessible. And then of course our dynamic individual and couples coaching and counseling. So if you're looking for some support based on any one of the subjects that we spoke about, I both offer in-person sessions, and for those who are based in the New York tri-state area, based out of the financial district, so it's accessible there. And for those who are as well based out of the West Village, there's another office, and as well based in Newark, Newark, New Jersey. And so for those who, I have clients who range from everything from Seattle to New Jersey. If you feel like you are busy, have a full plate, needed to be very accessible, need to be on the go, then I have online coaching as well.
That's awesome.
And so I have a platform that's literally a telehealth office that people can meet. Should those, because I know that that's already juicy, okay? And juicy in a good way.
In a very
juicy
good
in a
way.
Sweet,
Did you not just see what happened
way.
here? You need more of this. You need more.
Okay? Should that not be in for you, then I would highly recommend going to KHHP. KHHP.org. So KHHP.org, and we have a listing of our services. So if you are currently an entrepreneur who is also working full time, and you are the person who I spoke about earlier that said, you know what? I'm about to have a table flip moment because I either feel stressed based on the environment, based on my workload, or based on the fact that I'm not really quite being treated the way that I deserve, right? Pick up the phone and call us, because we are clearly all about making sure that your environment on the outside and your environment on the inside feel whole and well, and so that you can really thrive. Okay? So whether you're in a school environment, you're hustling your way through school, and you want to pick up the phone, introduce us to your dean, or whether you are working at a company and you want to introduce us to your HR person or your COO, your chief operating officer, those are the kinds of conversations that we really are open to having. All right? And then please check out the website. Plenty of other goodies for you to, gain a taste for. I don't want to give it all away, but, just really want to re-highlight the e-coaching. August 28th.
August 28th.
Hour of Power.
Hour of Power.
Okay.
Love Medicine.
Love Medicine, 1 o'clock. So do check that out. And once you check that out and you use the code VIP, you can access that. And then you can also go to our Kuumba Health site and as well look at the different services that we offer, as I mentioned. And, I'm really quite humbled. Each time I have to speak from my heart here, I'm quite humbled every single day that I get a call from someone and they tell me that something about our time together shifted something in their relationship to themselves or someone else, or the fact that their shoulders have been like this for weeks and now they've fallen. Yes, or that, or something has shifted. It is such, for me, a gift from that which is larger than myself.
For sure.
And so I'm so appreciative of our time too, because this is a gift.
This is the ancestor. The ancestors put this together.
This is definitely, the ancestors have prayed for this moment.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I'm very, very, very humbled by it. And, for those who have a different language, I'm all about just respecting wherever you are. And whatever you call, whatever it is you call it, even if you call it self.
For sure. For sure. For sure. Thank you so much, Sacred.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Peace and love to you.
Peace
Thank
and
you
love.
so much. Thank you, Nikita, for hooking us up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Shout out to the ancestors. This is a blessing.
Same.
Well, this is another episode of Master Plan. I hope you gained so much information from Sacred Walker. I mean, this was just an amazing experience. Go to Kuumba Health, our website, khhp.org. Correct. All right. And just see you next time. Peace.
Listen, yo, I'm living my life and everything ain't always good, but I'm doing what I want cause I'm the boss and I'm gonna do it. Yo, I'm living my life, it's a race against the clock. I'm MJ behind the line and I'm gonna make that winning shot. Yo, I'm living my life, 30 hours in